I can't figure it out. I can't.
Atrac to me is like the best of like the independent researcher guys, because like I feel like he doesn't always get the right answer, but like he has some foundation of knowledge to understand the concepts at least, and he like shows his thought process, and he has like articles that he's linking and everything. I wish that more people did stuff like this, but
Understand how anyone could think a strategic crypto reserve containing the tokens that I'm going to talk about is anything remotely more than a grift. Now, I'll give you the backstory, I'll give you the history, and I'll explain it all.
I also feel like it's really hard to find people who can be critical of some of the crazy stuff Trump does that aren't like wokies, right? Like, can we get somebody who's critical of Trump stuff just from like a purely economic, maybe even government standpoint, who isn't like super triggered on trans stuff or something, you know?
But now, let me take you back to 2019. In 2019, Donald J. Trump said, I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money, and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. This is one of Trump's most base takes of all time. I agree with this so hard. He said, and I quote, investing in crypto hurts the United States currency. We should be invested in our own currency. Bitcoin seems like a scam, and the euphoria around this currency is watering down the US dollar. Based. Then, in this recent election cycle, something changed. He became extremely, comically pro-crypto. It may have something to do with the large amount of donations made by the crypto industry. I promise to make America great again, this time with crypto. World Liberty Financial, he's a large investor in it, is planning to help make America the crypto capital of the world. The whitelist for eligible persons officially, this is a sponsored tweet. This is a presidential sponsored tweet in September 2024. He said, I would like to wish our great Bitcoiners a happy 16th anniversary of Satoshi's white paper. We will end Kamala's war on crypto. Bitcoin, a decentralized...
That's another $500 I would pay to be in a room where somebody asks Donald Trump, and so many questions. Who is Satoshi? What is a white paper? What is crypto? What do you think the blockchain is? What's an NFT?
global digital currency will be made in the USA. And upon getting into office, he followed through on a lot of these promises, essentially by making crypto very deregulated. The way he made crypto great again was to remove all the rules and restrictions on it, which again, I am not a fan of, but it played out very predictably. The general idea is with no rules in place, the scams went crazy. The amount of meme coins went off the charts, a lot of retail investors lost money, and then what happened relatively recently was they started to pull their money out of crypto. We started to see Bitcoin doing a big slide, all the altcoins doing a big slide, because the people have been rug pulled so often, they were getting out. So in a way, Trump's problem solved itself. He made it so appealing to scam that the scams drove people away.
I listen to Bloomberg Radio most mornings going to work, and I feel like they do a good job simply reporting the economic impacts without being ideologically compromised. Yeah, Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg are even considered like center-right leaning, although I think Trump has been attacking them lately. But it's funny, yeah, because Kara Swisher was talking about it, that, who was it? Somebody was talking about how like we need to make Bezos is like the Washington Post is going to be writing about stuff centered on like liberty and capitalism or free markets. I was like, what? The Wall Street Journal already exists. The Economist already exists. Bloomberg already exists. You think the Washington Post is going to have an op-ed section competing in business with the Financial Times, with Bloomberg, with the Wall Street Journal? The f are you even trying to do? Why?
Maybe it worked. Maybe I disagree with his methods, but it worked. But then, a few days ago, something got posted on Trump's Truth Social that kind of actually gave me like this like pit in my stomach. It actually made me like feel very uncomfortable. A U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the presidential working group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, Solana, and ADA.
Like, people were talking about a person running the White House under Biden, that it wasn't Biden doing it. Donald Trump didn't write or understand a single part of this tweet. Not a single part. Donald Trump has no clue what XRP, SOL, ADA, he has no clue what any of this shit is. Who's writing these tweets for him? He had no hand in writing a single word for this.
To move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, Solana, and ADA. He followed it up after some panic from Bitcoin owners. And obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, as other valuable cryptocurrencies, will also be at the heart of the reserve. I love Bitcoin and Ethereum. Overall, a massive presidential pump of these assets. Immediately, crypto prices spiked as they talked about these tokens being included in a national crypto strategic reserve. A strategic reserve requires us using taxpayer money to buy these tokens. By the way, we're a deficit nation, so we run out of taxpayer money every billing cycle. So this is actually going out to the rest of the world.
Like, it sounds so stupid. It sounds so stupid, but just like the fact that Atrac just said that, right? We're a deficit nation. We run out of money every billing cycle. It's true. It's just like having like a foundation of knowledge, just a foundation of knowledge to begin to have the conversation is just so nice. The fact that like people like Jordan Peterson don't have a high school level of knowledge on almost anything, which is surprising given he was a not a clinician, right? I don't think he did a psychiatry thing, but he went through psychology, right? All through a PhD level program. And Jordan Peterson doesn't sound like he even understands high school stats, right? Let alone anything having to do with the economy. Listening to that Pierre guy talk to Jordan Peterson, and for the very first time, it feels like both of them are discovering this concept of worker productivity and comparative advantage. Like, yeah, come on, bro. You're like, you get paid millions of dollars for these podcasts and shit. How do you not know any of this? I appreciate this so much. Ugh.
And issuing IOUs to borrow money to buy 3 shitty crypto tokens plus Bitcoin plus...
To my knowledge, they have said that the reserve will be paid with all the cuts they will make on government, not with taxpayer money. That's not how that works, my friend. You can't pay for things with money that you've saved off of a thing. This is the joke I made before, where somebody goes to the store and they're like, okay, I want to spend $100 on really nice blankets, but there's this quilt or blanket. I don't know. Fuck blankets. I don't know all the different blankets. Okay. Here are blankets for $99, but here are blankets for $200 that originally cost $400, but they're on sale. Now I could be a sucker and buy the $100 blankets, or I could buy the $200 blankets, and I've saved $200. Does that mean that you've walked out of the store spending nothing because you saved as much as you spent? No, that's not how that works. We're still a deficit country. We borrow to pay for our, the bill every year by the federal government. So if you manage to cut a little bit of what we're spending, we're still borrowing to pay the bill. You're not saving money such that you can like return it to taxpayers in the form of a check or spend that money elsewhere. You're still borrowing.
Ethereum that his kids and advisors hold. Now, what was extra bad about this is that the day before this announcement, somebody went 50x long, a massive, highly leveraged bet with $4 million on exactly this happening.
I wish I knew what this meant more. Like, what are you trading to have a 50x leverage? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that he was just able to trade on, for $4 million, it would be, with $4 million, he was able to do a $200 million, like, on margin? Is that what that means? Or how is he, what is his 50x leverage? What does that mean exactly? Options? Is that what that means? Are you creating a position though with option? I can't tell who's just talking shit or not. I shouldn't have asked this question in chat. I'm sorry, because everybody's typing the random fucking bullshit without having any idea. Like, do you create a position with options? Is that true? Like, if I buy 100 contracts for puts or calls to sell or buy some security at some bullshit in the future, have I created that position in the future? Is that how you would describe that? Watch a video. Well, I don't even know what I would look for. You borrow 50x of money invested. Okay, yeah, so that's what so is this just a huge margin position you're allowed to have open, I guess? No, it's direct leverage by purchasing the asset and using the purchased asset to collateralize loans internal to a platform's trading engine. Okay, so it's just, this is margin that he's getting. And for whatever reason, crypto platforms allow you to have an unbelievable amount of margin, I guess. Or maybe this particular trader has an unbelievable amount of margin. Okay, thank you. Okay, Jesus.
Somebody on the inside seemed to know this was going to happen. This level of corruption is not normal. Mark Hodes is a guy I really respect. He's a bit crazy. He's a bit of an old crotchety man. He is the one that exposed the SBF fraud. He's the first person to call out SBF for what he was, a massive grifter. Mark Hodes said, "No need to worry. There will now be a crypto reserve of worthless garbage brought to you by a South African pump and dump artist named David Sachs." So let's get into David Sachs real quick. This is David Sachs.
BitMEX allows 100x margin. I use it all the time. Okay, based.
David Sachs is America's new crypto czar. Apparently, we need an official person in charge of crypto. If you've heard David Sachs' name before, maybe it's from his podcast, or maybe it's from the fact we covered him on this channel back during the Silicon Valley Bank bailout. He was one of the...
Wait, somebody says BitMEX allows 200x, not 100x. Even more based. All right.
World's whiniest billionaires begging for Silicon Valley Bank to get bailed out. Because he'd made an investment in it. He basically said, if the government doesn't come in and bail out this bank, the whole economy will crash.
Wait, is... Oh, and you're just paying interest on the borrowed money, basically. Okay.
The crisis will spread. He was on podcasts, on TV shows, on the news, on social media, constantly begging for a personal bailout, essentially, of his Silicon Valley Bank money. Well, it turns out, as crypto czar, he has a couple conflicts of interest we might want to know about. The main one being his big investment in Bitwise Asset Management. Bitwise Asset Management holds a bunch of crypto tokens. What do you think are the 5 biggest holdings in Bitwise Asset Management? Could it perhaps be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, and XRP? Could it be the exact bags that are just getting pumped by Donald Trump? Do you think...
Wait, do we know if the original motherfuckers at Mt. Gox, did they make a lot of money on all that crypto? I got my Mt. Gox coin paid, and it was not anywhere near... I was hoping it would be at current prices, but it was like older prices. I think I got like $1,200 or some bullshit. And I was like, I thought I would get like $300,000 for my 3 Bitcoin. Fuck you.
It's perhaps possible that Donald Trump doesn't even know about XRP, Sol, and ADA, and perhaps this legislation is drafted by his crypto czar that's pumping his own bags? Marco Hogues, back to him, again, the guy that exposed SBF, has been talking about this conflict of interest for a long time. In fact, this is a tweet from late 2024 when he sent evidence to SEC about David Sachs being deeply involved in the development of Solana, owning a bunch of hidden and secret Solana that he is trying to pump. In fact, if you look through their terrible all-in podcast, you might find some clips that are pretty damning in hindsight.
Sachs, I gotta say, I think your AUM is positively correlated with the bags under your eyes.
If you mean it's getting bigger, you're correct.
I mean,
Yeah, they're heavy.
Good Lord.
They're heavy, dragging you down.
That's where you're hiding all that Solana, in your fucking under your eyes. Jesus.
You better clear that Solana position. What's your lockup? 24 months?
Fuck no, he's trying to sell it to me on text message.
Yeah, of course he is.
We're negotiating discounts.
I just had the fact.
Hey, you're fucking the whole thing up.
Bro, you don't
Ponzi
think
scheme?
I'm hodling.
you think I buy
You're not
hundreds of
holding,
millions of dollars
clearly.
of anything without a discount? Everything is a discount.
Everything's discounted. You want to clear that position in an LLC?
Are you saying I got $1 billion of Solana?
No, bro, I'm saying I have one, but I brought it at a discount.
But you're holding, correct?
Ish.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, me too.
So these fucking rich guy douchebag Silicon Valley scumbags have acquired massive positions in the very coins they are now using their political influence to get us to bail out as taxpayers. There is no benefit to you or me or any regular American Republican or Democrat.
I also filed a dispute. Waiting now on my Bitcoin back should be around 30 for Mt. Gox. No, hold on. You're saying you should check the Mt. Gox claims page. You can file a dispute and get your money in Bitcoin back. You don't get paid back in Bitcoin. You get paid back in USD based on the value of the Bitcoin like 10 years ago or whenever Mt. Gox went under. You don't get paid back in Bitcoin. That would be base, but that's not how they paid back, unfortunately.
Taxpayers. There is no benefit to you or me or any regular American Republican or Democrat. These guys flip sides based on whatever way the wind is blowing to make money. David Sachs donated a bunch of money to Gavin Newsom. He was anti-Trump before, now he's pro. Whatever way makes him money. And as in recent months, Bitcoin was dropping and all these bags were dropping, they needed a bailout. They needed a fucking turnaround, which came with this random Sunday night tweet.
Bro, offering margin on trading platforms has to be fucking free money for the people running these platforms. Because of the volatility of these instruments, I imagine they probably don't even margin call. They probably just close your position, huh? Like, considering how volatile the investments are, especially if you're 100, 200x leveraged, your position just probably gets closed instantly. They just keep your money.
By Donald Trump to pump all of these very specific niche currencies, none of which are big enough to be a strategic reserve, all of which would be massively moved by the price of America getting involved. Peter Schiff.
Maker fees are 0% on certain platforms with 400x leverage. How do they make their money then?
None of which are big enough to be a strategic reserve, all of which would be massively moved by the price of America getting involved. Peter Schiff pointed this out. Now, Peter Schiff is a really principled thinker, a guy I really respect. And just to be clear, for anyone accusing him of being partisan, this guy's been in financial markets for 40 years. This guy voted for Donald Trump. But even Peter Schiff can't help but say, this is the biggest crypto rug pull of all time. A pump and dump scheme. Who authored these 2 Sunday afternoon posts? Who knew about them in advance? How much money would those investors spent buying XRP, ADA, Sol, BTC, Ethereum? We need these emails and text messages to find out what level of scam we're dealing with here. David Sachs, our crypto czar, responded by clutching his pearls. Huh! The accusation, the mere thought that someone like me, who's already very successful in business, would go into government to make more money is a lazy and stupid narrative. Interesting.
Volatility is good for traders and not for brokers. Brokers want low volatility so that they can farm them for interest, at least on actual brokers, not crypto bullshit. I feel like that's probably true for actual margins that you would like realistically trade on margin with. But if you're allowing somebody to leverage up 100 or 200x, I imagine that the interest on that can be insanely high, like very quickly. And then if they can close your position, whatever position they close, I imagine they get to collect their interest fee from you before they pay you back. So you just make money instantly on your client. I can imagine for traditional brokers, you want them to hold those positions open for as long as possible because the longer they hold them, the more interest you can collect. But for crypto shit, that interest, I imagine, builds up very fucking fast given that it's a 100x, 200x position. Although I guess if it builds up fast, you'd want them to hold it longer too. So actually, I guess maybe, yeah. I'm just thinking for the average trader, the thing is that my guess, man, I'm guessing a lot here because I don't do these types of trades, but my guess is on an ordinary website that allows you to trade on margin, I imagine they have like margin call thresholds where they'll make a margin call and give you an opportunity to deposit a little bit more to add liquidity to your account so that you're at whatever threshold they want you to be at to keep your positions open. But I imagine on these crypto exchanges, there is none of that bullshit. Because if you're 100x leveraged and you have to maintain some percentage of your account, if that dips even a little bit, does the average person who's leveraged up that high have the capital to make that account satisfied? I imagine probably not. And I don't know if you would even want to risk, if you have a 100x, 200x leveraged account, you're not going to sit there and wait for them to add liquidity to the account because you might be out a whole bunch of money if you're the exchange, is my guess. I'm guessing out here, so I don't know.
Interesting. To a person, all the billionaires that I've met serving in government are doing it for one reason. They absolutely love the country and want to make it great again. To do that, we have to drain the swamp and the massive government corruption that's in plain sight. I agree. There is some government corruption in plain sight that we need to get rid of. It's just interesting that you take this position that people who are civil...
Someone said you don't get calls in crypto, it's direct liquidation. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me just because of how fast, especially if so many people, especially I'm always guessing. If you're in a crypto market that allows for 100x, 200x positions, then it's probably really scary because I imagine like flash crashes can happen because as prices go down, once you're getting margin called on and these positions that are 100, 200x liquidated are getting called, I imagine, boom, there's like a ton of like places that are selling a fuck ton of shit real fast to liquidate those positions. And you might have dramatic swings very quickly. But I don't know, I don't know what percentage of all of the open like stuff on the books is on these like really long, super over leveraged positions. I don't know.
Some government corruption in plain sight that we need to get rid of. It's just interesting that you take this position that people who are civil in business would never go into government to make more money, when just a few years ago, you said essentially the opposite. The problem with government as a capital allocator is the money goes to special interests who have the ability to lobby, but not to innovate. That's just so interesting that your position has changed so dramatically. Many people spoke out against this who have careers in finance. US president pumping minor cryptocurrencies like $22 billion ADA while his kids cash in. It's just so unbelievable. The US is not being led by billionaires, being led by thieves. Even Naval, again, Trump supporter. The US taxpayer should not be exit liquidity for cryptocurrencies that are decentralized in name only. As Trump said in the very beginning, it makes no fucking sense. We have the world reserve currency. Borrowing in that currency to buy a fucking worthless on-air cryptocurrency that pumps somebody's bags is fucking crazy. All this is naked grift. It is just taking our money and giving it to people that own Solana and ADA and BTC and Ethereum. It's crazy. A strategic oil reserve might make sense. A strategic gold reserve could make sense. A strategic fucking Solana reserve is just bailing out Solana owners. It feels really shitty to be in a country doing this. I don't know how to tell you. It feels shitty. And I want to tell you a quote that I had from weeks ago before this happened. As I've said over and over again, any state government or US government creating a Bitcoin reserve is going to be a catalyst for me to consider leaving the country. And I said I would never. I said I had the whole thing with Aiden. I actually think that is an end game clock on
Wait,
this. I said I would never. Or US government creating a Bitcoin reserve is going to be a catalyst for me to consider leaving the country. And I said I would never. I said I had the whole thing with Aiden. I actually think that is an end game clock on the sanctity of our money. It is essentially a taxpayer bailout of Bitcoin owners. It actually is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. And that's when I thought it was only Bitcoin. Let alone fucking Solana. My only hope.
How long does Atrax stream per day? He's super good at creating these videos. It's like they're good segments. They're very, like, has a story, like, beginning, middle, end, calls back to prior streams and stuff.
Is that this is a transparent pump and dump by David Sachs and Trump's kids to enrich themselves on the idea of the strategic reserve without it actually passing. That's the best I can hope for. People from any political background, people who I've seen openly stump for Trump were like, there's no good from this. This is crazy. This is fucking terrible. I couldn't find anyone with a positive spin. It's so transparent who wins and who loses. And who loses is you and
Oh, maybe 2 to 3 hours per stream. About 2 hours per stream. Okay, makes sense.
me. Anyone paying taxes, anyone who works for dollars. Again, I
The
want to
streams are basically just pre-planned YouTube videos to be cut up. Yeah. August kind of wants me to do stuff like this. It's just hard to when I stream for 8 hours to be able to create like kind of more punchy videos like this.
reiterate that we are a massive deficit nation. Joe Biden did no help to our deficit, and Trump is making it even worse. We are just borrowing money to pump the bags of a...
One thing that's very annoying, and I'm not faulting A-Track for not going into a huge like analysis of the deficit here, but a lot of the debt that Biden had to take on wasn't just because of the COVID recovery. It was paying interest on the prior debt that Trump had racked up, plus the increased deficit that we had to endure because of the Trump tax cuts that were all throughout the Biden admin. I think it might have, somebody can, I don't know if there's a longer article I read on this or somebody has a link to it, but I think that the majority of the increase in deficit, or it might have been the majority of the entire budget deficit, was due to the prior behavior of the Trump tax cuts, plus the additional interest that was accrued on all of the extra Trump money that was borrowed during his admin. With some of the money in the last year being understandable because of COVID, even though Trump would never grant, or MAGA would never grant that same understanding to Biden, but...
Joe Biden did no help to our deficit, and Trump is making it even worse. We are just borrowing money to pump the bags of a few rich crypto owners. It's crazy. And I don't think Trump knows shit about XRP or Solana. But I'll tell you,
I know he's made me, but don't U.S. citizens get taxed even if they're out of the country? Don't you have to renounce your citizenship? Something like that. But I think you have like $150,000 of leeway there, although he is definitely making more than that, so I don't know.
few rich crypto owners. It's crazy. And I don't think Trump knows shit about XRP or Solana. But I'll tell you who does is Eric Trump. This guy's been going to crypto conference after crypto conference and speaking and talking about how good it's about to be for crypto. When this happened, he tweeted instantly and gleefully, "I love the genius of announcing a strategic reserve on a Sunday when traditional markets are closed and Wall Street sleeps. For the first time, retail investors win." I don't know if retail investors win. I do know that you win.
Remember, the number one way to know if somebody's full of shit, okay? Retail investors never win. If you're a retail investor, you are always losing. Retail investors are people that go to casinos and they play table games. It's cool to go there. You can have fun. And every now and then, a couple might win. But for the most part, retail investors are losers. Everybody knows it, except for retail investors for some reason.
When Wall Street sleeps. For the first time, retail investors win. I don't know if retail investors win. I do know that you win. As someone who's frequently tweeted about the holdings of World Equity Financial, Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, and ADA, I can tell that you win personally. And you, having advanced knowledge, being Donald Trump's son, have a huge conflict of interest. At the same time, it's funny because while all of these things did pump, you can see this here, they all started to slide again after the backlash was so strong. The markets are pricing in that this might not even happen because the backlash is so extreme, because David Sachs is already deleting old posts to hide the paper trail of him to all of these currencies. But even still, this pump...
Sorry, that is true. Maybe I should clarify from Rugal and KickChat. Retail investors can win, retail traders lose. If you want to be more nuanced, that would be true, sure.
Already deleting old posts to hide the paper trail of him to all of these currencies. But even still, this pump alone made people a ton of money who were inside the information. At the same time, we've got Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy guy, from Max Stupid video.
Wait. Somebody in KickChat said, nobody is buying these shit coins with government money. That part of the reserve, there are two parts, will only be fed with seized funds. The other reserve, Bitcoin and Ethereum, can only increase with budget-neutral purchases, which won't happen with a $32 trillion debt. So be careful. A budget-neutral purchase can happen even when you're on a deficit, because if you pair an expenditure with a savings, you're allowed to call that budget neutral, because it's true, even if you still have a deficit. So let's say, for instance, I have to borrow $1,000 this month to survive on my credit card or whatever. But let's say that I'm going to, but let's say while I borrow this $1,000, let's say I also want to spend $100 on a PS5 game. Well, let's say I say, okay, I'm going to drink $100 less Starbucks this month. That I would be allowed to do that. That's a budget neutral expenditure because I've paired my PS5 purchase with cutting back $100 worth of hot chocolates. Even though I'm borrowing $1,000 for that month, I can still call that expenditure budget neutral. That's what the IRA was. The Inflation Reduction Act was called that because the Inflation Reduction Act was an investment in infrastructure, I think mainly, but it was offset by cost-cutting measures over the next 10 years so that it's supposed to be budget neutral, right?
As Bitcoin continues to fall, going on CNBC saying you should sell a kidney to buy Bitcoin, saying Bitcoin's going to reach 20 trillion, then 200 trillion, just massively begging, pushing, grifting to try and get regular people to buy back in so that his bags can stay full because he has taken on an enormous amount of debt to buy Bitcoin at like 90K.
Wait, it's correct that most of the initial Bitcoins will come from seizures that have been made by government. This is about 200K of Bitcoin. They want to store it all in one location. Wait, our government has 200,000 Bitcoin? Wait, what does Bitcoin trade at right now? Let's assume 80K. 16 billion. That's a decent amount of money still. Does our government currently have $16 billion worth of Bitcoin? Is that true? Yeah, from drug dealers, etc. Oh, the whole Silk Road stuff. Maybe. How does one seize Bitcoin? That's a good question, actually. Do they consider it seized when they just have like the keys to like a cold wallet or something, or the passwords to like an account on an exchange, or do they actually transfer it to a government wallet?
It falls under 90K, he's at risk of losing his whole company. We're getting grifted left, right, and center. And finally, to cap off a week of absolutely horrendous crypto grift, this guy, Justin Sun, someone made this work of art of a banana duct taped to a wall. He bought it for $6.2 million and then ate it.
I still can't believe I hate this guy so much. Who's the leftist on Twitter? He used to be the guy that always went, "That's right." What's his name? Who remembers him? Matt Medlock. This motherfucker. This guy, I can't believe this crypto dude actually took this bet. Some crypto retard made a public offer to bet somebody. And it was a stupid bet too. Wasn't it like 1,000 to 1? Didn't he bet like $100 against $1 million that the US economy would enter hyperinflation? It was a really stupid bet from the crypto guy. And then this guy managed to get on it first, the Medlock dude. And then, yeah, he just got a cool $1 million. Or wait, or was it the bet was like 1 Bitcoin versus his $1 million because he thought that Bitcoin would be worth $1 million because of fucking this guy. He's so lucky. This guy usually does decent Twitter takes, although he's to the left of me for sure.
He bought it for $6.2 million and then ate it.
Medlock made the offer, Balaji took it. Really? I thought the other guy made the offer. There's no way Medlock made that offer first, right? Because that's a stupid bet. Like, well, I don't think Medlock would ever make such a stupid first offer. I thought the other guy did, and then Medlock took him up on it.
比别的大家好吃多了。
Bet Ayla on AI killing everyone within a few years. I don't know anywhere near enough about AI. She's way more in that industry or that community than I am.
确实不错。
A bit like Copium. If you know him for this, that's kind of funny. But actually, he's a pretty notorious grifter and scammer who was getting investigated by the SEC. Until, recently, he put $75 million into Trump coin. And all of a sudden, the SEC asked a federal judge to put the case on hold. Basically, immediately after putting $75 million into Trump coin, the SEC said, let him off the hook.
I don't know if A-Track has like a political lean or bend at all, just 'cause I don't watch enough of his content, but it would be interesting to see just politically neutral people come in and kind of look at what some of the Trump admin is doing, because it's like very blatantly and very obvious, like, whoa, hey, this is actually like mega corrupt, guys. Like, wait, why would they pause the same investigations on guys that probably literally just did a bad thing? Isn't that kind of weird? Like, I feel like if an ordinary person came in without any of the preconceived political biases, they'd be like, this is like really fucked up, no, guys?
Who was getting investigated by the SEC. Until, recently, he put $75 million into Trump coin. And all of a sudden, the SEC asked a federal judge to put the case on hold. Basically, immediately after putting $75 million into Trump coin, the SEC said, let him off the hook. This is the guy who, again, was fraudulently manipulating the price of digital tokentronics, selling unregistered securities. The case is now dismissed. This shit is open grift, bro. I don't know how to say it. It's textbook. It's nice, like, it's the definition of corruption. And it's all got me feeling some type of way, bro. It's all got me feeling like, hopefully people can see this collectively. I do have some hope from seeing people who voted for Trump admitting fully this is grift. If you can't, I don't know where we're going to go. If we can get everybody...
Oh, yeah, because the Portnoy guy even was like, hey, isn't this kind of fucked up? I don't know where he's at right now and all this, but...
Some hope from seeing people who voted for Trump admitting fully this is grift. If you can't, I don't know where we're going to go. If we can get everybody to admit this is grift, we can stop the strategic Bitcoin reserve from literally devaluing our money to pump someone else's bag. This is not a long presentation. It's a heartfelt one. If I have one thing that I would like us all to collectively agree on, is that this is fucking awful. And if not, I'll go check out the fucking houses in Monaco. I gotta have a long talk with Ari, bro.
It's fun watching people find out about Trump's corruption and their particular areas of knowledge. Oof. I read some guy on Twitter a few days ago who had that with Elon Musk, where it was like, he tweeted something along the lines of like, I didn't know anything about rockets. So when Elon Musk talked about rockets, it sounded like he was smart. I didn't know anything about electric vehicles. And when Elon Musk talked about Tesla, it seemed like it was smart. But he does know a lot about software. And when Elon Musk started talking about software, the guy was like, this is the worst shit I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh, man. Imagine having to watch this in court. Oh no. Is he gonna get rear-ended? Damn! Jesus. This End Wokeness, by the way, if you didn't know, is a Russian poster. 1 quadrillion, bajillion %. This account is ran by a Russian operative, okay?
Holy fucking shit. Unbelievable.
At Destiny, if you're concerned about further losses in the market, you can purchase a put to defend your position. A put option allows you the option to sell 100 shares of a stock at the strike price and time. They are expensive, but it's better than taking a bath for what could be years at a time. No. if you are a retail investor, all you can do is take a deep breath and hold. That's all you can do. Derivatives are not an effective hedge for retail investors because derivatives are going to be priced based on market conditions, okay? Do not think that you can just buy options and it's a free hedge because those are going to be priced accordingly. If you think the market is going down and the market is going down, everybody else probably thinks the market is going down. And the price of any derivative asset will reflect that, okay? There was and still is a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources. Either a large coordinated group and or a country is involved. Tracing, ... God, he's so fucking cringe. Tracing, tracer, Also true. This is getting blamed on Ukraine 1 trillion%. Elon Musk's shocking claim amid Tesla feud. That short position will bankrupt Bill Gates. Elon Musk fucking hates short sellers. He fucking hates them. Elon Musk reignited his feud with Bill Gates, alleging Gates' short position against Tesla could bankrupt him. Musk criticized the Microsoft founder for betting against Tesla while seeking support for environmental causes, sparking debate over Gates' financial strategies and clean energy. How long was the position for or whatever? This article was posted on December 12th, 2024. It says updated. I'm going to assume it was around the same time. Oh my God. In other developments, Musk has also recently expressed his admiration for Google's latest quantum computing breakthrough, the Willow chipset. The announcement from Google elicited a wow from Musk, followed by a suggestion from Sundar Pichai, who proposed we should consider building a quantum cluster in space using Starship someday. Musk responded enthusiastically, saying, that's likely to happen. A truly advanced civilization should aim to achieve at least Kardashev Type 2 status. In my view, humanity is currently operating at less than 5% of Type 1. To reach approximately 30%, we would need to deploy solar panels across all deserts and highly arid regions. Do you think a united Canada can beat a divided U.S. in a trade war? No, but I think Canada plus Mexico could. And I think Canada plus Mexico plus the EU definitely could. Destiny, it'd be good to know the legal definitions of treason, espionage, sabotage, etc. What would it take to try and charge someone for that? Nobody cares about these things anymore, my dude. We already had convictions for seditious conspiracy, and those are all pardoned now, so apparently nobody gives a fuck.
For weeks now, we've been faced with so much uncertainty coming from President Trump. Each day brings new tariff threats. Now, President Trump is threatening tariffs on steel and aluminum. He's pointing his finger at dairy and lumber, shifting timelines, different excuses, chaos and confusion. It's hurting workers, it's hurting businesses, it's hurting investments, and it's hurting families on both sides of the border. It needs to end. That's why I've been crystal clear. Until these tariffs are off the table, until the threat of tariffs is gone for good, Ontario will not relent. We will not back down, pausing some tariffs, making last-minute exemptions. It won't cut it.
Bitcoin uses electricity. That's why it's dropped, not the market. I don't know if I think that would ever be the case. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin is mined in like highly efficient data areas now that have like access to super cheap electricity. I would be surprised if that much of it is mined in parts of the U.S. that rely on Canadian energy that would impact it that much. I would be surprised. I guess it could be the case, but I don't know. Where is most Bitcoin these days mined, actually?
We need to end the chaos once and for all. We need to sit down, work together, and land a fair deal. A deal that gives businesses the confidence to invest. A deal that gives workers the security they need and deserve. Until then, Ontario will keep up the fight. We will apply maximum pressure to maximize our leverage. That's why today we're moving forward with a 25% surcharge on electricity exports. For the 1.5 million American homes and businesses that Ontario powers, homes and businesses in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. This surcharge will cost families and businesses in these states up to $400,000 each and every single day. On an average, this will add around $100 per month to the bills of hardworking Americans. Let me be clear. I will not hesitate to increase this charge. If necessary, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely.
Damn.
Believe me,
We're
when
getting Gaza'd right now. What the fuck?
I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump. I'd rather be working together. I want to sell the U.S. more energy, more electricity, more critical minerals. I want to make Canada and the United States the richest, most successful, safest, most secure two countries on the planet. But as Premier, my number one job is to protect the people of Ontario and in hand protect the people of Canada. I will do whatever it takes. I will fight like I've never fought before to protect Ontario. Friends, none of this makes sense. Costly tariffs against your closest friends and allies do not make sense. The U.S. markets have lost trillions in value. Companies are second-guessing investments into the American economy. American workers' jobs are at risk as we speak right now. Cost of hardworking American families will only go up. It doesn't have to be this way. We are stronger when we work together. I hope we can get back to working together, creating jobs, growing our economies, lowering costs for families in both countries. We don't get there by easing up. We will remain strong. We will be relentless. We will do whatever it takes to protect Ontario.
In addition to these new retaliatory tariffs from China, Canada's tariffs on the U.S. are still in place. Last week, it put a 25% levy on things like beer, fruit and vegetables, shoes, cosmetics, and more. And today, Ontario starts charging a 25% surcharge on electricity to 3 U.S. states, Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. The tariff war and opposition to President Trump has actually unified Canadians. Listen to these remarks from Mark Carney, who's expected to be Canada's next prime minister. He was just elected to head the Liberal Party yesterday, soon potentially to be sworn in as PM.
How fucking mad if you're that Pierre guy. He was supposed to be, he was like a shoo-in, right? Is there a market for that, or am I overestimating how confident it was that he was going to be the next PM? The Canadian Conservatives just got so unbelievably fucking shafted by Trump. Oh my God. Holy shit.
The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada.
Like the Conservatives were set to win this election, and then they just got this. It just got unbelievably, absolutely fucked by Trump being unhinged. New Democratic. Is your Democratic Party in Canada considered left or right? They're left. Okay. The New Dems are progressive. Okay. Oh, they're like the Bernie wing. They're far left. Oh, okay, gotcha.
And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect.
Let's discuss with Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, which is the province that started to impose that surcharge on 1.5 million homes and businesses in the United States. He also ordered all U.S. alcohol to be removed from Ontario shelves. Premier, thank you so much for sharing part of the afternoon with us. What do you hope to achieve with this surcharge? What needs to happen for you to remove it?
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on, Boris. And I start off every interview with telling Americans that Canadians love Americans. I love Americans. It's one person that's caused this problem, and that's President Trump. As he is putting tariffs on us, even if he says he's putting it on hold, there's still 60% of goods that are crossing the borders that will be tariffed, and it's hurting both economies. It's hurting the American economy. It's hurting the Canadian economy. Uncertainty is what people don't like hearing in general life, not to mention the markets are tumbling, and investors from around the world are looking twice at America and Canada to invest in. There's no reason for a recession. I call it the self-made Donald Trump recession. He ran on a mandate.
Well, that's a really shitty name. Find something catchier than that. The self-made Donald Trump recession. Okay, get an acronym in here or something.
Lower prices to make sure we didn't have inflation, create more jobs, and it's backfired. So let's sit down at the table and let's start working on a new USMCA deal, even though President Trump said it was the greatest deal he's ever made. Nothing's changed, so I guess it's not the greatest deal now.
Oh, true. Thank you for bringing this up. Yes.
His argument would be that he's trying to remake the American economy to produce more goods that are currently imported.
Worth noting, the Canadian elections haven't happened yet. Carney's just taking over as Trudeau's successor in the interim.
The U.S. here at home with these electricity surcharges. You say that the move is designed to protect your province. The administration, if they see it as an escalation and they reciprocate with tariffs on lumber, steel, and dairy, ultimately, doesn't that hurt your constituents?
No, we're looking at negotiating through strength. If he cuts off the lumber or puts a tariff, do you know whose costs are going up? It's the American people that want to buy a home. They're going to pay more for their home or steel that they need or
I
aluminum.
mean, he's lying. This is going to hurt Canadians too. But hey, listen, sell it how you got to sell it, okay?
That there's only 16% of aluminum is manufactured in the U.S. They rely on over 60% aluminum to come down there for their goods. High-grade nickel coming out of Ontario. That 50% of the high-grade nickel for your military, aerospace, and manufacturing comes from Ontario. And the list keeps going on and on and on. Not to mention the 4.3 million barrels of crude oil that we ship down every single day. So I believe in building an AMCAN fortress. Let's make sure that we focus on having the two greatest countries in the world, the most prosperous, the richest, the safest. The problem's not Canada; it's China right now, and he has to keep an eye on China.
I do want to ask you about the question of
Ooh, I like the recentering of. I thought Trump was going after China. Shouldn't he be going after China? Wouldn't we all be stronger against China?
And specifically on one claim, because I've heard it from Trump and a number of officials in his administration, most recently Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He argues that Canada has a 255% tariff on dairy imports. The administration has cited that over and over again. Is that number accurate? Do you think it's fair for American dairy farmers?
Well, what I'd like to do is sit down and discuss these issues with them at the USMCA table. What I will tell you this. If we take the 4.3 million barrels a day that we ship down there to keep your economy going off the balance sheet, the U.S. has a $56 billion surplus, a trade surplus with Canada. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Things were going fine. Everything was moving forward. Market was going up a little bit. Everyone was optimistic. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he wants to attack his closest neighbor and ally. And his number, I call their number one customer. You don't attack your number one customer and expect the results that he thought were going to happen. Protectionism does not work, especially between Canada and the U.S. Maybe you should take a page out of Ronald Reagan's book.
Premier, I do want to ask you about Mark Carney. He is in line to become the next prime minister. We saw Justin Trudeau's relationship with Trump evolve and then ultimately degrade. How do you think Mark Carney is going to approach President Trump?
Well, Mr. Carney is a very, very bright individual, and it's up to Mr. Carney to build that relationship with President Trump. They're both bright people. Let's make no mistake about it. Agree or disagree with President Trump. He understands finances. So does Mark Carney, and so do I. We're business people, and if we sit down around the table, we can resolve the problem and make sure that both countries prosper, like the likes of which this country's never seen, or the likes of which the U.S. has never seen, if we work together.
Premier Doug Ford, we appreciate you joining us and sharing your point of view.
Thank you so much, and God bless America and God bless Canada. Thank you so much.
Best friends forever?
The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. The Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
That was Mark Carney, the soon-to-be Canadian Prime Minister. And what you just saw and listened to was the latest example of how a once unbreakable bond between the U.S. and Canada has fractured as President Trump advances his trade war against both Canada and Mexico. Tariffs on Canada are expected to go into effect on April 2nd. My panel is back now. Nia,
How do you both sides this? What?
Canada has it in him. Let's see how he takes.
Why does CNN have the both siding panels? Does Fox News have liberal commentators on their shows?
Yeah, as he takes over.
I think that's right. I mean, you saw over the last many weeks Donald Trump talking about Canada.
Or I'm assuming I hear panel. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're all left-leaning people. Never mind.
First state, talking about Trudeau as Governor Trudeau. That's become sort of his moniker. And now this is a new person. What's been interesting is that Trump has brought Trudeau's party back to life, right? There was this really sort of resurgent interest in a more conservative party. And now you have in this person somebody who's really benefiting from this fight with Donald Trump. Who knew that America would want to be at war with the Canadians? But apparently it's based on a South Park movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so bring us up to speed on that. And if the South Park guys are listening, you please come on anytime and
that was the premise
talk
of that
about
movie.
it. Yeah.
I mean, going to war with Canada, and that's essentially. What's interesting is how the rhetoric also from the new incoming Canadian Prime Minister, much different than what we're seeing from our Mexican partners, Claudia Sheinbaum, the way she has approached Donald Trump, which is a little bit, obviously what we've seen other leaders do, try to softer rhetoric, if you will. This is we're going right at him, but Nia's absolutely right. The domestic politics in Canada are absolutely fascinating. It has led to this nationalistic fervor within Canada that has boosted the Trudeau's party and potentially could ultimately undercut what Donald Trump wants to achieve here. But if he's talking tough, the new incoming leader on Donald Trump, I doubt Donald Trump is going to back off. He wants people to talk nicely to him for him to back off, but the rhetoric will only be ratcheted up.
Inside Canadian politics.
Yes.
Let's look a little bit at the U.S.-Canada alliance, the economic alliance. And the bilateral trade is about $2.5 billion in goods and services a day. 400,000 people cross between countries every day. The U.S. has maintained the official presence in Canada since 18.
I'm aware of the 250% tariff talking point is bullshit. I know, but it's not worth it. Trumples don't live in reality. There's a new lie every single day. The $350 billion to Ukraine talking point is bullshit. Every single talking point is bullshit, but they don't care.